another episode of The Struggle's
Struggle's Real.
Woo! I feel like we need like a laugh track or something.
No,
or like an
please
applause
don't.
track. You know, you've seen our Carly, right? You know how like,
yeah.
We are not doing this as our Carly. I will.
So lame.
It was
Go.
my childhood.
So lame. Well, we hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for joining us on another episode. What's your topic of the day?
Our topic of the day it's basically a conversation that we had a few minutes ago. They got really intense. It's about remakes and sequels that should not have happened. Mahalia, you were really
Passionate.
vocal and passionate about a certain.
Was I?
Yes, yes.
Tell us
Okay.
all about it.
Okay, I have 3 points.
Okay.
One, none of the Bridge to Terabithia movies should have been made.
Okay.
Destroy them. Not
Okay.
needed. What was my other point? Oh, we didn't need any new Star Wars movies.
Okay, I disagree with that one.
Hold on. They should just,
Okay.
They should be dead in the water.
I'm gonna
Sorry,
sit quietly.
We don't need them.
Okay, the first one was good. The remake of
But the last two were
remake.
trash. Therefore,
Yeah, the last
whole
two. I agree.
The whole trilogy is therefore trash.
Okay, no, I totally agree with you. But the first one, I can let it slide. But the last two, they should have done something. I don't know.
So therefore, the whole trilogy is trash. You talk about 2/3 of the trilogy
Okay.
is trash.
Oh.
If you came home with 1/3 grade to your parents, is that acceptable as a child of immigrants?
No.
Therefore, trash.
Oh my
I
god.
mean, I don't like none of the Star Wars movies. So.
You?
We're just gonna cancel Eric. You
Get him
just-
out of
You're
here.
lame, guys.
Boo.
Okay, just mute his mouth.
Get him out of
And
here.
then my third point. This is gonna sound so
Yes.
Sorry. My third point. This is gonna sound weird, but there was a movie called Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, and I loved it. It was so good, and I know
It
sounds
doesn't
like,
sound good.
What the fuck are
Yeah,
you
it doesn't
talking
sound
about?
good at all.
No, but it's so shut up.
At all,
But
guys.
it was I really loved it because it wasn't like, oh, there are zombies and we have to kill them, like a comedy or like something silly. That like it was very serious. It was literally like what would happen if you placed Pride and Prejudice in like the world of The Walking Dead. That was the tone. And it was surprisingly really, really good. Like I really enjoyed it.
That
The
doesn't
acting
sound
was
good
pretty
at
solid.
all.
Solid. Okay, you know what?
I mean, I do
We'll
like.
just have to watch it.
I do
But
like
it
the
should've
Pride and
gotten a
Prejudice,
sequel.
but Pride and Prejudice and zombie combined.
But it made it more interesting because it wasn't like, oh, here's this for like the modern, person who doesn't really like old literature like
Or
that.
immigrants
Or
who
having
don't know any about literature, like me.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell Pride and Prejudice is.
I enjoy literature like that, but like for the person who it might not necessarily be their cup of tea to sit down and watch Pride and Prejudice. Like the sisters were literally badass zombie killers. Like it was the thing. Like they were trained really well. It sounds crazy. I know it does, but I feel like everyone needs to give it a chance and just sit down and watch it because I really liked it. When you talking about strong woman characters, that was it. It was good. I really enjoyed it. And they left it at a cliffhanger, and I was like, ooh, sequel. And then I looked at what it made at the box office and was like, ooh, no sequel.
Not at all. Imagination.
No sequel. And it's also based on the book Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which still has.
Wait, it's a book?
Too. It's a book.
Oh, wow.
I read the book in high school and was like, interesting.
Interesting.
And then I found out. I didn't even know it was a movie until like when I was in undergrad. We used to go to like those dollar movie theaters where they would like play movies for $1 on like a random Tuesday night or something.
Yeah.
And I saw the title and I was with Brandon, my boyfriend, and we were like, huh. Just go see it. It's $1. Why not? Right? And we loved it. We were the only ones in the theater, but we were like,
Well, that tells you something.
well, I mean, I don't think it got a lot of press either. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think they released it a lot because I think the idea of it is
Was,
like
so
too
ridiculous.
much to people.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the
it was
title.
actually really good.
Oh, okay. I mean, the title sounds ridiculous. So
It does. It has an air of ridiculousness like around it, but it was actually really good. Like I liked it. Nobody talk to me and shit on this movie because I liked it.
Wow.
All right, I'll check it out.
Wow.
Okay.
Both me and Ryan we were talking about Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh my gosh.
Do not like.
Okay,
the
so
new ones.
You don't like Pirates of the Caribbean?
We like the trilogy, the first
Hear
trilogy.
us, okay.
But it should have stopped there. They should not have made like the fourth, the fifth.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I think
How many were there?
There was like four, right?
More.
No, it's the fifth. I think there was the fifth one.
Let's go. Pirates of the Caribbean.
hold on.
Google it.
I think the fourth one was the mermaid story, and the fifth one was
The
the.
what?
The
Have I
mermaid
not
story.
seen all of the Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah,
No,
you
I'm
got
pretty
Pirates of
sure.
the Caribbean The Curse, Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men, Pirates of the Caribbean Outworlds, and Pirates of the Caribbean Straight Ties,
Strangest
Pirates
Time,
Dead
yeah.
Man. I did not. Yeah, I like
wow. I don't
the
think I've
trilogy.
watched
I kind
all
of
of these.
like.
So there's 5 in total, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So the fourth and the fifth one, like they should have stopped at like after 3.
yeah.
I didn't know there was.
I kind of like the one with what I kind of like Salma Hayek. Maybe she's not maybe the best.
I mean, she's hot. I mean,
Actors.
not gonna lie. She's
Ryan.
she's very attractive.
Wow. Way to object women. on
Okay,
this
first
podcast.
of all,
She's
I'm
beautiful.
I'm complimenting
She's
her.
beautiful.
I'm not.
Wow.
I said
I am-
beautiful. He was a jerk, guys.
Okay, look,
I
listen,
said
listen.
beautiful.
I am not objectifying her. I'm just saying that she's a very attractive woman for.
It's
Yeah,
not Salma Hayek.
I'm just
it's Penelope
appreciating
Cruz.
her.
Oh my god.
Oh
I'm
my
mistaken
God,
my Hispanic
racist.
actress.
Racist.
It's me. I'm Hispanic. That's okay. I can do it. But
Oh my
yeah, I don't like
God.
the new one. It was with his son or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
They were
was-
trying to like
that
make a
was
closure.
sad. Jack
Orlando Bloom's character.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
about to say,
And
Chester.
I didn't like that.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know he had a son. Wait, have I only seen like the first movie? Like what?
Yeah, we actually do a movie marathon about
Yeah.
Pirates. I love
Yeah,
Pirates of the
okay.
Caribbean.
But yeah, they definitely should have stopped at the third one because
Yeah.
it was a perfect trilogy. They should have. I don't know. You know what it is? The studios wanted to make more money. That's what.
Yeah.
What it was.
Of course. I mean, you have the theme park.
Oh, here we go. Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Whatever number
Yeah.
we're at, we don't need it anymore.
No.
What? How many movies did
9?
they make?
What are we
Right.
at?
It's like
I think it's 9 or 10.
We
Fast-
might be on
we are-
15 and I still don't
Fast and Furious 72. Oh, okay.
know. 9?
I think it's 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that
We don't need them. They could have stopped at 3.
yeah.
No. They should.
Well, I like
I
my
the
favorite
fourth,
is Tokyo Drift, guys. That's without a doubt.
Which one was that? I
Yeah.
haven't even seen all
Tokyo
of these.
Drift is the third one.
It's the third one.
But
And
I
it's
like
not
the
even
fourth
with
and the
main
fifth.
cast.
I like the fourth and the fifth. They should have ended when Paul Walker, passed away.
Yeah.
Like, that was like
that
that was
felt like a really good button.
And I didn't like when
Yeah.
Letty returned. Letty, Dom's wife, the girlfriend.
Oh yeah. For
Michelle Rodriguez. I
was
didn't
like,
like when she comes. I
This
thought she was
feels
dead.
like a telenovela with
Don't bring telenovela in this. Do
People
not
are
bring
losing
telenovela.
their memories.
They're coming back.
I was like, what in the telenovela?
lazy writing.
What in the general hospital?
Thank you. Say General Hospital. Don't bring telenovelas down. Come on, guys.
Oh man.
I have a controversial one that I want them to do. I'm not a super pro making everything live action, but I kind of want Prince of Egypt as a live action done correctly with the correct composer, the orchestra, people of color as Egyptian like it's supposed to be. I think it's important.
Know what I want a live action of?
What?
Lilo and Stitch.
I don't know. I don't know, man.
No,
I would watch it
hold
because of
on.
the
Hold
Koto.
on.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So, like, imagine if we had, like, if they could really get Stitch down.
That's what I'm worried
seeing
about.
Exactly.
Hawaiian actors.
That's the thing. That's the only thing that I'm pro of.
That I can stand. behind.
I will stand behind that. I'm worried about Stitch.
Yeah,
and
Stitch is
I
a-
love the cartoon.
Obviously, it can't be like a Sonic the Hedgehog type thing. But if there's a way that they can actually make it.
Like legit, like.
I mean,
legit.
the bad example would be like Detective Pikachu, but something more like.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty
I
good.
kinda like-
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I
if they could
guess.
find a way to create Stitch and make him feel real,
Yeah.
I would get behind it just so I can see native Hawaiian people doing their thing.
I would love that. The thing is just, I'm worried about Stitch. And I love the cartoons in Disney XD. We have all of the rest of the experiments. So each episode it was like a new thing. I love that so much.
I want them to do it because I want The Rock or Terry Crews to play Mr. Bubbles. So
I would love that. That's like, never mind. I'm pro. Now I'm for it. Well, yeah, I want that. Okay, I'm gonna add that. But I really want Prince of Egypt. I love that, and I grew up in a Christian house, so I'm still Christian. But that was my go-to movie. It was so good. It was so entertaining. It was so powerful. Great animation,
was
people of color.
Exactly.
It was people of color. I was seeing people that look like me and my cousins and my family. I know I'm a little bit more light skinned, but seeing people that look like my people because they're mixed and they were like brown, so seeing brown people on screen.
Sephora, my God,
it was so good, guys.
A baddie.
Oh man,
I loved it.
So please make it correctly because I will come after you.
Talking about live action, what did you guys think of Lion King live action?
It was a copy paste. It was the same thing. We didn't need it.
I'm leaning more towards animation because I feel like the characters in animation has more expression
because they were animals, It's just
I don't think it needed a remake.
No, I mean it was great for the music.
Without it. I haven't seen the Aladdin one, but I get behind.
Yeah, I heard it was good.
Half of it, half of the movie I was sleepy. Half of the other was like, oh, this is good. But half of it before the magic carpet ride. Yeah, but before the magic carpet ride, it was questionable.
Oh, really?
I'm gonna watch it tonight.
But again,
I mean, it made a lot of money at the box office.
It did.
It killed at the box office.
Yeah, and I'm glad a prince is a prince of color. Having Aladdin as a man of color was great.
What's her name? Naomi
Scott.
Yeah.
The Pink Power Ranger.
Wait, no way. She played Pink Power Ranger?
Yeah.
The
remake.
Oh,
it was bad.
First of all, they should have just left Power Rangers. It didn't look good back then. Come
on.
Now,
I love Power Rangers.
It took me so long to realize that Naomi Scott was the girl from Lemonade Mouth.
Yes, that too.
Lemonade what?
That too.
Lemonade Mouth from Disney Channel. It's a Disney Channel original movie.
I don't want to sing the song. I don't want to get. I was like, no.
Copyright. No. But she plays it's kind of like a diverse group of kids who get detention and decide to form a band together.
It's
there's a freaking vending machine at their high school that only serves it's a weird vending machine in the basement that only serves lemonade, and so that's why they named themselves Lemonade Mouth. But it was really good because I was like,
it was fun.
There's an authentic Indian actress in this.
Yeah.
And then there was another.
She has my heart.
Was she Asian or?
She is Asian, yeah. She's a singer now.
Yeah. Oh God, what is her name? Hold on. I'm looking.
From
Kaylee
Yes.
Kyoko?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah, she's great. She's a great actress.
She was in Lemonade Mouth. She was really.
And Bridget Mendler from Good Luck Charlie.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I don't know none of these.
Her storyline surprised me. Because, spoiler alert, but I don't think anyone's actually going to her dad was in prison, and they talk about what it's like for a teen girl to have her dad in jail or in prison.
And it was Disney movie?
Yes.
Wow.
Disney Channel, actually.
Disney Channel, yeah.
I was really surprised.
Wow.
I just remember watching this and going, oh my God, this is gonna touch someone who's actually going through this.
Yeah.
Also, Tisha Campbell was in the movie. So.
Oh, she's great. I love Tisha. Tisha's just amazing.
You gotta love Tisha.
She's great.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah. It was. So yeah, actually going back to Power Rangers, I did not like that.
No, the remake one, the recent one.
No.
Yeah, I didn't like
bad.
it either.
I'm telling you, they didn't look good back then. We don't need them.
Leave Power Rangers alone.
Leave it be. Just make it animation. animation at this point.
Yeah, animation would be
good.
cool. Yeah,
The
animation.
Power Rangers are long. I love them.
Because I can imagine it as like a Teen Titans type thing. Not Teen Titans Go, not that.
Oh, dude! Oh my
Original
gosh!
Teen Titans. When I tell you, I wish they never.
Oh,
made that.
actually, talking about live actions, the Titans in
The show?
DC Online is actually pretty good.
Is it
I thought it
good?
was gonna be bad
Uh-huh.
because I love.
Is it Raven Black in that? Or
Yeah.
Starfire's Black?
Starfire's
She's
Black.
great. Guys, please give it a
It's on the
chance.
list now.
It's so good. So good. So please give it a chance. It's worthy.
Okay, I will watch.
At first I thought it was gonna be a little questionable, but first episode and second season is just magnificent. So guys, yeah.
Okay.
See
Okay.
it.
Okay.
See it.
All right, guys. That's a wrap for the
Yeah. We can't. We're gonna go.
Never
We
stop.
want to get into our interview, and today we are going to be interviewing Sofía Palmero. She is a queer Latina actress, writer, dramaturg, and director. She just made her debut on the Outfront stage. She's previously done plays such as Curious Holiday Encounters. She's also worked at previous Atlanta, where she did Fuddy Myers, Spirits to Enforce, Henry the Fourth, Art School Shit Show, and Just Like Us. You can follow Sofía on her Instagram at Sofía _ with an F, literally with an F, like write that out. We'll drop it in the description, don't worry. And fun fact, Sofía actually acted in Erik's thesis film, Sonorous, the musical about the 5 stages of grief that explores the 5 stages of grief. So we've worked with Sofía before. She is a beloved friend and colleague, and we are excited to get into it with her today.
Yeah, it's
so
gonna be fun.
without further ado, we're gonna call her.
Yay.
Sofía, how are you? It's been so long.
I know. It's actually really not been that long, but it feels
It's true.
really
It feels
long.
like forever.
Yeah, it feels like a year.
Feels like 6 years ago.
That was like right before quarantine.
Literally. It was like this and the show that I was doing at the same time were the last things I did before the end of.
Quarantine.
That was it was a theater show or a musical?
Yeah, it was the theater show. The musical was y'all. It was Bull in the China Shop over at Outfront Theater. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Oh, can we start?
Yeah, we're
okay.
ready. Yeah.
Yeah. This was part of it.
Oh my god.
Way to ruin it, Erik.
I thought it was gonna go with an introduction. My bad.
So, Sofía, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Sofía Palmero. Also, I have to say I really appreciate y'all sending me the emails with the accent over the I, because that is actually how my name is spelled, but no one spells it that way.
I got you. Don't worry.
But I am Sofía. I am an actor and writer and director here in Atlanta. I also do dramaturgy professionally through Working Title Playwrights, and those are my main gigs. That's kind of the whole thing.
That's your main center. Oh, so we want to know a little bit more about you, since you were involved in film and theater. You do all of this crazy stuff, and you're great at it. What got you interested in film and theater?
Well, theater for me came first. I tell the story about how I, at the time, didn't know, but I had a big crush on this girl. I thought I just wanted to really be her best friend, you know? And she joined the new drama club at the school that I was in. And she was like, oh, do you want to join? And I was like, rehearsals every day after school with you? Yes, sign me up. And so I ended up playing Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, and she played the Wicked Witch, which is very romantic. Enemies to lovers.
Yes, diversity. I love it. Hispanic Dorothy. I love it.
Right?
Literally, yes. It was great. Yeah, it was super fun. And that was the first time I did theater. And after that, I was like, this is so much fun. I loved getting to know everyone. I discovered I was so good at memorizing lines. I was like, this is where I'm going to hang out for a little while, I think. And I just kept doing it after that.
Nice.
So you act, you write, you you do so many other things. What is your, I guess, what's your primary role, or what is the role that you really like doing the most?
My favorite, just for like fun, is acting, because I just find it to be the most fun out of all the things that I do. I love playing pretend. I love like, you know, when you're on set, like the actors are like the least stressed. You're just like hanging out in the green room, eating snacks.
Everybody
Everyone's like
else
coming over and
crying.
doing your makeup. Yeah, when you're not crying on set, right? But
True.
other than that, like, you are having such a blast. And I find, you know, the writing process, I find it to be extremely agonizing. And it lacks the kind of freedom that acting sometimes has. Sometimes the more you let go with acting, the better it goes. At least I have found for myself that it works that way. But with writing, I it's so grueling, and it's fun, but in like a really painful way, kind of like BDSM. So that's kind of what it feels like to me.
BDSM. That's
so
great.
so
I
that's the
love
most
that
fun.
analogy.
But
That's great.
but
I
as
love that
a
analogy.
that is what it feels like. And but as an artist, I think the combination of writing and then acting in my own work is the most powerful of all, because I find that there's nothing more powerful than telling your story and then getting to embody it as well. So that's like my peak, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Also, Sofia was part of Sonorous, my thesis film, and she was one of my main actresses, and she was great. We had so much fun. So, since you acted on film and you also act on theater, do you think there's any major differences between those two worlds? And how do you approach each role? I mean, it has to be a completely different process, you know?
Right, because like you have to play for the camera versus playing for a live audience. So how does your approach differ?
Well, the actual preparation itself, funny enough, is not. So I'm Meisner trained, and so like that approach kind of functions in terms of. What?
Sorry, I was just about to ask for our viewers who don't know what the Meisner technique is. Can you just kind of like explain it?
So the Meisner technique is basically acting truthfully under imaginary circumstances. So you essentially, the way it functions is that the things that you imagine in your brain function very similarly to actual memories, because when you actually remember something, you are imagining it. So that's why memory is it's not very reliable, because you're always just imagining and imagining and imagining. So a memory functions the same way as something that's never actually happened that you imagine in great detail. So it functions on that. And so you use a lot of imagination work to get to the character while still staying yourself. I like to think of it as like if I was put in like a parallel universe and I was in this character's situation, but it's still me. So you maintain your essence, which I really, really enjoy. So that works for both film and theater. But what I found is, like you said, like it's playing towards the camera versus playing towards an audience. To me, it is the bouncing and returning of energy, because I find acting to be a very like metaphysical sort of thing that's happening. There's this, to me, I always like feel like there's a vibration, right? Like where I'm tapping into something like a vibration that exists outside of the things that we can see. And with an audience, you are sending the energy to everyone and you're receiving all their energy. Whereas I find in film, it's more like you're sending the energy to the camera, but the way you receive the energy, you have to receive more energy from your scene partners. And I also receive energy from the crew, because they're your audience. They're technically not watching you act, right? They're watching to make sure that nothing's fucking up. But if you do a really good enough job, you want the crew to be watching like, oh my God, that person's killing it. So it's a different manipulation of energy, I would say.
I like that. That's an interesting approach.
Answer. So you are a proud queer Latinx woman. How do you think that the representation of the queer community of color has evolved in the past few years, and do you think that there's more that still needs to be done? I mean, I feel like the answer is yes.
Yes, obviously, we can all agree.
I guess my question would be, what does that look like then? What would be an adequate version, or in a perfect world, what would that look like?
I guess to me, it's funny because I think about this a lot, because it comes up a lot and people have been talking about it a lot for the past like 5 years especially. But I think like what I've noticed right now, and you can go look and see if this is true. But what I find right now is that what diversity is starting to look like, first, the term diversity is very flawed because it focuses a lot on like the optics, right? Like we want something to look diverse, which like, yes, that works. But you'd have to go and be like, okay, what does this look like if I were to put every single person who worked on this project in a room together? Not just the actors, but every single person who worked in front and behind the scenes and who worked in management, who did like, you know, producing, like all that stuff. If you were to look at all of them, do you have a diverse narrative? So like that to me is one thing. But if you look nowadays, you'll see that what they've decided to do for diversity for actors is they either have a person of color as the lead, surrounded by an ensemble of incredible white people, or two white people. One or two white people as the leads, surrounded by an ensemble of people of color. And so to me, I'm like, this is what I think is the perfect world, right? To me, it's about rules and breaking them, right? Because whenever you look at what's the stories that are being told right now, especially when you're talking about TV and film, which is super, and theater too, but especially like high end, like it's money oriented. We know that. And that works off of patterns. It works off of having rules. The reason why we have people of color in main roles surrounded by white people, and then a white person in the main role surrounded by people of color, is because that's a rule that's now been established for what counts as a diverse show. And to me, diversity starts to function when it is actually about telling stories that are completely different from the stories we've seen before. Because we've all agreed,
you
right?
You are preaching, sis.
Thank you. I'm saying.
Preach it.
Because it's like, and to me, I feel like it's like an obvious business thing. And I'm not very business oriented because I don't think that makes for great arts. I leave that for the producer people.
Leave it for me. Okay.
yeah, for you. Please handle this. But I think, right, we all agree that there's only so many stories that can be told, right? We've been retelling the same 7 stories since the dawn of mankind. So one hack I see immediately is if you change the main character of a story we know super well and you make them a marginalized voice. And I'm not just talking about making them like a cis person of color. Like I'm talking about what happens if your main character becomes a trans woman of color. And in a story you've seen a million times, but how does that change the narrative? Because inherently it's going to change the details. And that's what we look to see when we look for a new story that's, give me the same thing but different, right? It's the specificity. You want specific details, things you've never seen before. And what better way to get things we've never seen before than to allow voices that have never been allowed to speak? And that means that everyone involved has to have a different perspective, a quote unquote marginalized perspective, right? Because it's been pushed to the margins. And so like when you get that, I feel the story sounds and feels completely different. No matter, I mean, you take Moonlight, for example. Moonlight is a basic queer narrative. It's just a queer man not being able to come to terms with his own queerness and struggling with it through his life. That is every gay story we've seen. But because it's in this context, that's where it gets its power, because it's not something that we've seen before in that context. We've seen Love, Simon, we've seen Call Me by Your Name, you know, we've seen that, but Moonlight is a new perspective. And so I think, to me, diversity is about all of us expanding our understanding of what it means to be human. And the best stories that are diverse truly are told from those perspectives, with the support of people with similar perspectives in every position, from actor all the way through to producer.
Yeah, I think that's interesting when you talked about people, marginalized voices, bringing them to stories, to bring different elements to the story. I think that's super interesting. Us talking about that, bringing people to, I guess, to that platform, and I think that's necessary. But also,
hold on, I just wanted to add, I absolutely agree with you when you say that it needs to be from the top down, from the gaffer to the executive producer to the studio head. From the top down, it should be diverse because it affects how the story is told. But yeah, I absolutely agree with you on
I mean, that. You see right now a lot of diverse story, quote unquote diverse, but they're being told by white
And you can
cis
always
voices.
tell.
Yeah.
You can always tell when it's told by someone
tell.
that's not from that perspective.
We were talking
The
actually.
authenticity, yeah,
we were
we
talking
talked
about
about
that, and Mahalia had a question this morning about a movie, and when I went to see it, it tackled quinceañera.
It's called Sweet 15. We're calling it out. It's about a spoiled girl who really wants like a quinceañera, and like through the midst of it, like her dad is like in the process of getting deported or something like that. But something about it had always felt off to me because it didn't feel right. You know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of Mexican people, and I was just sitting there like, something in the water ain't right.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean?
She texted me, and I rapidly Googled it and found out that it was directed by a white woman, and it was written by. I couldn't see the ethnicity or the race of the writer, but the name sounds white. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. But,
you know what the scary part about that is? Even if, like, you Wikipedia the movie right now, it says this movie is taught in America as a way for students to learn, like, specifically in Spanish class, for students to learn about the Mexican heritage. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. No, we could probably learn more from Coco than this. No.
It is. I mean, it's just dangerous, and it brings back to the conversation, like you guys were saying. Diversity has to come from the top, and people willing to understand and learn that you might not know about everything, but you should be willing to learn and give opportunities for people of color to grow and express their selves, and people from all the communities, guys. This is not only about people of color, so I think it's important. But since we know that you are a writer,
yes, I'll Sofía, add to that too. Also, that it's also about intersections of identity, right? Because one thing is if you're telling, like the same Latinx stories over and over again versus like what does it look like when it's like a queer Latinx person? What does it look like when it's a Latinx person with a disability? Like how does that identity alienate you even further within the community where you're supposed to be belonging? And especially I feel really strongly about this about superhero movies, because superhero movies are all about being alienated and about something that everyone thinks makes you, a monster is actually the thing that makes you powerful. And I'm like, hello, like marginalized community, like metaphor right here.
No.
Actually, that's a wasted opportunity. You're totally right. That's another topic.
Better write that one down.
Do we have an idea to write?
X-Men. Let's talk about. No, okay. Let's continue, guys.
We're not going
down. We won't go there today.
Not going down this rabbit hole. I swear.
Okay. So, you're an amazing writer, amazing actress. But since you are a writer, since you approach stories in different ways, but we know that you love to write. How do you think that writing has given you a different perspective to acting? Since obviously you're working with creating stories, you're working, just finding the right way for a voice for a character to go through this narrative. How do you think that's given you maybe more tools to approach characters or even characters of your own?
Well, one thing that I have definitely found has been that acting and writing for me have been extremely synergistic. They work off of each other so well. The things that I can bring so much from my writing to my acting and my acting to my writing that helps both. I find that for one, I think I have a pretty good grasp on story. Like, I think acting is so fun, but because it's so fun, it is so easy for it to get self-indulgent. And one of the things that I try avoid getting self-indulgent, I use like story structure, and I use shifts very much, like, because I think as I'm writing, I'm like, what's shifting? Like, what is changing? What are the characters doing to each other that at every moment is causing a change? What revelations are happening? So those sorts of things, especially because since I'm Meisner trained, Meisner is very loosey-goosey. Like the main exercise that we have is repetition, which is all about acting from impulse, acting very, like just going for it without getting in your head about it. So a lot of my back end prep goes into saying like, I know something changes here. Like in this point, this new bit of information shifts something for me. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to try to guess what emotion I'm going to go to, what's going to happen for me, what reaction I'm going to have, because I want it to be totally improvised and fun and authentic in the moment. But for story purposes, I know something needs to change here. For the purpose of this line saying like, oh, why are you acting this way? I know I need to act some way that forces that next line. Yeah. So it's like an awareness of those little things that to me feel like little anchors that I have throughout the script. So that I have something that I'm working towards without having it feel like it's prescribed already. Like I have to get angry here. It's just, I just have to change. So that helps me a lot. And then I also, writing, I think, has also given me a lot of freedom as an actor, because I realize from like when I go to write and then when I go to watch people perform my writing, I notice that they bring things to it that like didn't even occur to me. And then I'll be like, I am so fucking brilliant, but it wasn't me. Like I didn't do anything. And so I think for me, that has given me a lot of freedom, both in writing and in acting, because I know I don't need to be completely responsible for this character. An actor will come and fill in anything that I missed, you know? And that will change the character depending on who's played, which is fun. And then as an actor, I am an asset to writers because I can fill in the characters for them too, because that's just an outline and I'm there to flesh it out. And so that has helped me in both acting and writing, I think.
You know what I found extremely helpful that I was just thinking about, because you said something along the lines of it, is when you give an actor a script, they bring something to it. When we did a live table reading, for those of you who don't know, we did a live table reading of a comedy that we wrote. Just having the actors do that helped us see the characters so much. It brought so much life. And because it was like a live table reading, they weren't just at a table like, you know, reading it. They were up and acting it out. And like, it became more theater than it did like film or television. But it was extremely helpful to like see the dynamics of the characters and where we wanted, like if certain characters had chemistry, how we can like branch off into another storyline because of that. It was just really interesting to see. And for all of our first time filmmakers, if you have never done a table reading of your script, you are missing out. It is so helpful to just get a bunch of your friends together, drink some wine, and just have them play the different characters of your script, because one, it'll help you with dialogue. And two, it'll help you see the changes and the flaws in your script, and also it'll help you find the little gems that you never thought were there. So that's some advice for you guys, but thank you, Sophia. We know that the industry hasn't been the most welcoming to people of color, or women to that matter as well. Have you had any personal experiences that made you say, hold up, this needs to change? The face.
Sorry. I just can't. Yeah, literally every experience I've had in a film set before you guys. Like,
oh, geez.
Like it's been, I mean, not to say I haven't had good experiences, like they've been great, but you just like, you walk into a room and it's just like so many white dudes, which like white dudes are fine. They're okay. But like so many of them is really scary. Like, it's like, I'm just like, oh my God, like, I don't feel like I fit in. And then also like the worst, I'm sorry.
I'm feeling this on a spiritual level. Continue.
I felt really emboldened by the current revolution to speak my feelings.
Speak it.
But, and just so you guys know, I do have white male friends, so I can say this. But they're just like I remember so vividly, like I had this one experience where and telling this story, this person's gonna absolutely know, but it's fine. I had this one experience in like a writer's room where it was so traumatizing. Like it was just so, I felt so belittled as like a creator in every way. And this was like about a year and a half ago. And this past year was sort of when I really started to gather my my bearings and feel like I'm a real artist. So it was really terrible for my self-esteem, but it was literally just like everything I said got shot down. There was this one guy who just like, he was just, I mean, just giving me the stink eye the whole fucking night. Every time that I would speak up, every one of my ideas were too complicated because the film was like a short. And I just like, I was like, but it's not, like, to me, it felt like I was in a room full of people who were not writers, and I was the only writer talking from a writer's perspective, and everyone thought I was a fucking idiot. And I just felt like, I was like, am I crazy? Am I stupid? Should I quit doing this? Like, and I felt like I was sharing the same amount as other people. I felt like I wasn't, I mean, the whole thing was chaotic, right? But I felt like I wasn't contributing any more to the chaos than other people. But it just, everyone just like seemed to like, the vibe was just so fucking toxic.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it was so hard. And then like after that, like it's like the people, and then after that, I will tell you this, we were brainstorming fucking ideas, and I'll tell you that one of the guys took one of my ideas and went and made it. So straight up took the idea. So, and it was like a queer narrative because I'm fucking queer. So I know that wasn't his idea because he is not like a queer woman. So I was like, it was like one of those spaces where it's like, y'all are shooting down everything I say, but then you go and take my idea and make it because you knew it was a good fucking idea. Anyway, so there's been a lot of spaces like that. And especially because I come on really strong and I have like really intense energy. And I feel like I'm always like, I'm kind of a know-it-all. And so like, I think men find that kind of energy just so intimidating and so off-putting. And I feel like constantly they feel the need to like squash it down because they're like, shut up. Like, don't do that.
Calm down.
So, calm down. Like, little girl, like you don't know what you're talking about. You know, you're not, I've made 48 shitty short films, so you can't tell me shit. And I'm like, okay, dude, sure. Like, my bad.
No, and also you have, not only you're a woman and queer, but you're also Latina, which brings another more baggage of stereotypes and wrong ideas about the Latino community. How to, especially being a Latina in this theater, I guess I imagine theater. I mean, I don't know much about theater. You can maybe speak more about that, but do you think maybe that theater is more diverse in film when you talk about actors and technicians, or do you feel maybe that film is more diverse than,
or are they just the same?
Or are they just the same? Yeah.
They're both pretty shitty. But I will say that I do think
I had a feeling you were gonna say
that. Yeah, you know. But I do think theater is a little bit better. And I think the big difference is that film is very money oriented and theater cannot be. There's not a whole lot of money in theater really. So everyone who's there is there out of passion. And so that I think lends itself to having passionate little cliques, but because there's not a lot of money in it, and this is the same thing as that happens with film, is that it's inaccessible to people of color. It's just like unless you have someone who's ready to foot the bill for your dream to do theater or film, like it's really, really hard to break in at all. So yeah, but I do think like I think the community is a little bit less. There's also a lot of women in film. I mean, in theater. In theater has a lot of women, disproportionately to the men, which is great. But not in positions of power. That's where you get fucked up everywhere. No matter where you look, you get fucked up when you get to the boards of anything. You get to producers, you get to the board, you get to artistic directors, and across the board, it's gonna be white, it's gonna be male. Like,
it's gonna be old.
It's gonna be old, so old.
Yeah. Which is before we go to the next question, Sofía and I we were talking a few days ago, weeks, I don't remember exactly, but we were talking about being right we were talking about being proactive when we hire people of color in our sets, in our productions. In both of our theses, Mahalia and I had this conversation early on that we wanted women and people of color involved in all of the I guess production areas. We were proactive in that area because we know that we needed to do that. It's not something that comes out of, oh, look at this. by mistake. No, you have to be proactive when you hire people of color and you give them spaces to grow, because that's how you're gonna reach, I guess, true diversity and representation, because you have to open your doors and actively go at.
Much backlash for it. Like just the other day, I was on Facebook. I'm in a group for like filmmakers, and there was this African American guy who he posted saying that he's getting a lot of requests from people to hire other African American editors. So he made like a database and was like posted in the groups like, hey, if you know anybody, if you're a person of color and you're an editor, please sign up. And the backlash this man received
From
was
white editors.
unheard of. They were like, this is reverse racism. This is hiring discrimination.
Which is not a thing.
Please, reverse racism is not a thing. Just leave it dead in the water.
Just please let it die. Let it die.
Like I don't understand how that's a thing.
Your feelings being hurt does not racism make.
No, not at all.
And it was just ridiculous the amount of backlash that he got, and it just feels so frustrating as a person of color. Like it feels like we're going 3 steps forward and then 10 steps back.
It
feels like
upstream.
we're doing this dance.
Mm-hmm.
It's swimming upstream, and it's like people concede a little bit to appease you, and it's just like we're not interested in being appeased. Like it's not about giving us one right, like oh, Moonlight wins Best Picture and you're good. Like Parasite wins Best Picture and you're good. Like look at all the other nominees. Look at line up all the people you nominated for all of these awards and look at that and then tell me why I should be happy just because Parasite won. Like, which by the way, love Parasite. It should have won.
Yeah,
but you know, but that's not enough. Like
no, but it's true.
Yeah, and I produced a short film that I wrote last August. And I went like, I didn't know anyone in film at the time. Like I was super, super new. And I was really intent on having like mostly people of color and women as my crew. And I like posted on like film communities, like Atlanta film communities and stuff like that, like Facebook groups. And I got so much backlash. I had one person reject my post before I posted it, saying that posts like that always got backlash, so I should change my wording. Like, because I was like, I'm very interested in, like, I'm only interested in hearing from women. Yeah, the admin.
Yeah. That's happened to me as well. And I was like, are you serious? Like,
it's infuriating because like, just because y'all, literally, just because y'all do it quietly, like, because that's what it is, right? Like, you don't say, oh, I'm looking for white talent or like, I'm looking for white crew, but you just hire white crew. Like, like, and you just don't say that that's what you're looking for. You just do it. And then what? Like, how is that any,
yeah.
How's that any better?
Triggered. It's crazy, man.
But times are changing.
Yeah.
I do hope that, you know, I think the middle of a global crisis, I think the earth currently globally, we are so destabilized that it makes perfect sense that these revolutions are starting to pop up everywhere. I mean, even if you look now, how all these theaters and producers and actors are getting like, quote unquote canceled. Cancel culture is not real, but they're getting quote unquote canceled for like people coming out with allegations of sexual harassment again, right? Like this is like a second wave that's been happening. So I hope that the more that the world kind of destabilizes, the easier it makes for us to like mess with institutions that have already been in place for so long, because they're already being messed with. They're already destabilized. And so I'm hoping that that will usher a different era when we're on the other side of this, a more mindful, more, we're having to rely on one another a lot right now, like because of COVID. And so I hope that changes fundamentally something about our society. And I think it's already starting to. So
there's also a wave of people who are getting canceled for how they treat their castmates.
People
Leo
of color,
Michelle.
like, the Leo Michelle debacle left me shook.
I mean, the guy from Bon Appetit too.
The Bon Appetit, and then the people from Vanderpump.
Who's the guy from Bon Appetit?
So,
right.
Yeah, they can use brown face to be Puerto Rican.
Eric was
triggered.
When I tell you he texted me in all caps talking about Mahalia. You know what this man did?
He was in
Oh
brown
my
face
God.
and he was like ghetto. And like you could see that their approach was to be ghetto Puerto Ricans in brown face. And just hashtag
Oh my
Poppy.
God.
And I was like, what?
Ew.
I was
Do
so
they have any sense? Do these
I don't
people
know.
have any sense
I
at
don't know.
all?
I do not know. I do
Oh
not.
God.
I can't. Mahalia,
Oh,
take a
boy.
question.
Yeah.
I can't. Question's
No.
going up.
The Leah Michelle thing really had me shook. I was
Yeah.
like, this
That
is.
was- gosh.
Let me tell you something. There is no
Stressful.
tolerance for things like this anymore. Like you really. I don't agree with cancel culture. Like I do think people need to be given the chance to change, but of course it's on like a case by case basis. But still, like people should still be given the chance to change and stuff. But there's just like zero tolerance now, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. And I really do, to me, that's so important because like this job, the job of telling stories in whatever form you do it is truly, I believe, the most immense fucking privilege you could have.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's truly amazing. It's incredible we get to do it. It's even more incredible to get to do it and get paid for it. And so I think because there's so many of us that want to fucking do it, the bar just needs to be a little higher. Like, that's it. Like, just raise the bar a bit and watch how the market is no longer oversaturated because all these people up here are pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know? And so I'm like,
the other day, he's like, everybody's getting fired. More jobs for us.
literally, I'm like, burn it all and replace it with something good. Like, replace it with something promising and beautiful and, you know, nurturing. Like, imagine if every film set was nurturing, like it was fun and supportive. And imagine how much faster shit would get done if everyone wasn't so far up their own ass, you know? Like,
yeah. Oh my God.
I agree with you.
Yes.
Completely agree with you.
Jesus. I won't say it. We'll move on. So, of course, the struggle is real is about helping the first-time filmmakers overcome the obstacles. So, when you were a first-time filmmaker, what obstacles did you face starting out, and how did you overcome them?
Well, the first thing I faced was a complete lack of support and information from the people around me. Because I would ask people like how to do things, and they'd be like, "You just have to get out there and do it. Like you just have to get your people together and find your team, and just get a team of people together and just fucking go and do it. Like do what?
What?
Do what? What you say? Do it. Can you define it?
What is it?
Tell us.
Like that was crazy, and I felt like, to me, and it feels similar for acting, for everything, it's almost like everyone's like withholding their secrets. Like they're like, girl, you know, and I'm like, please, could I have a crumb, you know? And so that was the biggest thing for me. And then obviously like being a woman and like being fat, I feel like also, especially as an actor, I feel like no one takes me seriously because of that. Like they're just like, okay, honey, like, yeah, you're an actor. Like, you're
like
no
there's
matter
certain
important.
roles you feel like they won't give you because you're plus size, and it's like, hello, look at America. Like the majority of us look like
literally
this.
The average size for women in America is between
14.
8 and 16. Yeah, exactly. 14. Yeah. So like, it's just like crazy. And and for me, it was just like a lack of community, especially like looking for like we talked about, like marginalized people. Like it was like every space I came into was like so overwhelmingly white and straight and male. And like, again, nothing wrong with that, but that's just not my experience. Like that's not what I have lived with. That's not the kind of people I've been around with my entire life. Like
that's not how the world looks.
That's not what my world looks like at all, you know? And so like that was difficult. And I just remember so many times reaching out to people and being like, hey, do you have any advice? Do you have anything? And literally every person had that same fucking do it advice. And I hated that. It was not helpful at all to me. And since then, like I sit down with people and I'm like, this is what you need to do. Get your fucking crafty from Costco. Like reach out on Facebook groups for your friends. Like, you know, like literally actionable things. I'm like, if you put a Facebook group, like a Facebook message on one of those groups asking for people, if you have a good idea, if you have a good script, people will come flocking. They'll come flocking. If you sound like you don't know what the fuck you're doing, like your story, if your synopsis is like 2 paragraphs long, I already know you're a hack. You know, like your focus is not the story, because you should be able to condense your story into 1 to 2 sentences. If your thing is a short, or it's a non-union, or it's like low budget, and you have fucking 15 to 20 cast members that you need, roles that you need to fill, I know you're a fucking hack, because you can't wrangle 20 people in addition to extras for whatever the fuck you need, you know, like, so it's things like that. Like, if you've got a solid concept, if you've got a concise way of telling it, if you're professional, you can get random people to sign up to work with you. And that way you start building your team. You shoot one of your short films and you're like, that person was not super great on set, I'm probably not going to reach out to them again. This person was really, really fucking cool, going to reach out to them a million times, you know, and that's how you start building your team. But that's like something no one told me, you know, that was like, but that is do it. That is what do it means. It means write your story, or link up with someone who you know writes really well but doesn't have any other resources, and pile your resources together and find your people. And, you know, like, through Facebook groups, through the people that you already know that you like, check out who they know, you know, work on student films and cherry pick the people that you like, and just form your own little quilt of like awesome people. And people don't tell you that. So access to information for me was the biggest thing. And even if you go and Google it, it's all super like vague and super not very helpful. And there's just like, there's different levels, you know, your first short film that you produce is going to have to be something totally different than probably like the 10th that you produce, right? Like the first time you may want to keep it to two cast members, keep it in one location, like those sorts of things that are like helpful, actually more helpful than do it.
Right.
No,
that's
Sophia,
great.
You are preaching. No,
great.
You
that's
literally
great.
just gave me the idea. We need to have an episode where we explain
what do it means, right? It's
we need that episode, so we're gonna put that on the books. Thank you, Sophia.
Yes,
love it.
Ideas all around.
And we'd love to have you back for that episode too.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I have an idea for this episode. Okay. We'll talk about it later. But Sophia, you're a genius.
Sophia, you have been great. But before we go, we need to ask you, what's your favorite movie and what's your favorite show?
This question, y'all sent this question, and I got really, really stressed out about it. So I actually wrote, because every time someone asks me, my brain just goes, it changes, and also my brain literally goes, and nothing.
Yeah.
Like what?
No, I literally forget everything I've ever watched in my entire life.
Literally. So I made a little list. For movies, obviously I already mentioned I love Parasite. The half of it on Netflix is a queer rom-com that is a little more about friendship than it is about romance, which is delicious. It's the director is Alice Wu. She wrote Saving Face, which is another queer rom-com, and she's Asian American. And
the main character is Asian American, right?
Yeah, and she's in love with a Latina, which is great.
I've seen the trailer for that one. Yeah.
It is so cute.
Anything Latina Eric can watch.
I got my Latina database down, guys.
It's so cute. It's so funny. Yes,
right
put the Puerto Rican flag. Just a little one right above Eric's head. So that's super good. Obviously, Moonlight. Your Name by Makoto Shinkai. That's an anime movie, and it's literally the kind of movie that leaves you sobbing, like ugly sobbing. The animation is stellar. I saw it twice in theaters, and I do not go watch movies in theaters. And then for shows, this is my real heavy hitter. I'm gonna give y'all. I'm sorry, this is a list because I don't have one favorite.
That's okay. I'm loving everything.
She-Ra from Netflix is an animated series, a remake of like I think it was like the 80s cartoon with like the lady with the sword.
Yes. I think I've seen the trailer.
Right?
It is phenomenal. It is so unapologetically queer. The cast is, the voice actors it's full of people of color. Like and it's just the best storytelling, like so concise. So like it's 5 seasons in, and I can tell you it hasn't had a 1 week season. Like it's super, super good. Killing Eve, Grey's Anatomy. I love Grey's Anatomy.
It's so good.
Killing Eve is so good and so gay. Obviously there's a pattern here for me. Pose. So good.
Oh my god. I love that show.
I love
when Pose. I tell you Pray Tell is my spirit animal.
Oh my god. I love Pray Tell. I love everyone, and I really hope that show opens up a lot of opportunities for those actors because they are so talented. It's so good. The Untamed, which is a Chinese drama based off of a very, very gay book. And so and what I love about that series is that the book itself was like, it's boys love, right? It's literally gay, like they have gay sex in it. But China has really intense censorship laws around LGBTQ stuff. So the producers and the directors worked really hard to maintain the essence of the queerness of the show without being so explicit about it that they get censored, and they fucking nailed it. They nailed it. It's super gay without ever being so explicit that they had to censor it, but it is really, really good. And the storyline is super complex. I think it's like Game of Thrones, but in China. That's what it feels like to me. And like, it's so good. Complex. It's great. And then Russian Doll. I love Russian Doll. Hill House. Love Mike Flanagan. I love him. He also Hush is in one of my movies.
Interesting.
The Haunting of
Hill House.
That
because it was this was literally what would happen if a theater play and a television show had a baby. Because it was
that's why I liked it so
slow
much.
burning, which reminded you of the theaters of a theater play. The first half of the season is nothing but character.
Yeah.
Nothing but character.
Interesting.
But it's so fascinating, and the cinematography is so beautiful that you're like,
it's delicious.
I'll take it.
It's in a lot.
And the craziest part is you realize it's not even the ghost that's the scary part.
It's not even what?
Childhood trauma. It's the scary part.
Yes.
That the ghosts aren't even the scary part. It's childhood trauma. That's the scary part.
Yes, it's absolutely.
So good. I love that show.
And horror as a metaphor for like I think horror and sci-fi are such great ways to explore really deep things while adding enough distance that it doesn't become preachy.
Feel like that.
Yeah. And I think it's so powerful. And I thought Hill House did such a spectacular job with it. And I mean, it's just like one of those things where you see like all the elements were working and all of it was about the story. All of it is about serving the story.
Yeah.
Like, and I think so much because obviously that episode 6, 2 Storms, that had like the 3 15-minute takes and everyone was like, fuck, that's crazy. But like, you know, it serves the story because it's about tension. You are, it's if the camera does not for a moment look away, neither can you. You know, like what will you miss if you look away for 1 second? There's things happening in the background.
It's
Nell is
so
popping up out of places.
That's what it is. You are so correct.
Yes.
I mean, there were ghosts that you can only notice if you pause.
There's just
frame.
like things popping up in the background. There's just like the tensions are so high in the family fighting. Like, you know, you feel like you're right in the middle of it, and it's because it doesn't cut away because you can't cut away in real life. So it's like that element, and that's what because I think sometimes a lot of my struggle with film has been how self-indulgent sometimes cinematography can be. Like a lot of like, oh, what if we have this cool shot like coming like this, and then we came from the top, like I'm like, y'all please just tell the story. And so my favorite thing when I watch anything is when the cinematography.
I love you so much.
That's literally a conversation I've had. It's out of control. But when the cinematography serves the actual narrative. Parasite does it too, because I remember so vividly when I first watched it, they have that whole first scene in the like basement. And I remember getting to the point right before the son goes to the rich people's house to be a tutor, that I literally said out loud to my partner, I was like, I'm feeling cramped. These shots feel cramped to me. I feel claustrophobic. And the next shot was that wide ass shot they had of the kid coming down, and there's all this space, and the visceral feeling that creates, like the actual feeling of like that you feel watching that, like that's how you use cinematography.
Exactly.
That's like I love it. Yes,
and I love what I really loved about Parasite was like you can feel underneath all the funny, you can feel the tension.
Yes.
You're like, I'm laughing, but I know shit is about to pop off.
And it's so disarming
so
the way
weird.
it just like it gives you whiplash watching it. Yeah. It's beautiful.
We have to see it again.
I know, right?
Oh god.
Thank God it's on streaming platforms.
One of the only movies I can say for me that actually earns, it's like 2 hours and 15 minutes, because I won't watch a movie that's like, it's really difficult for me to watch a movie that's like 2 hours, and every movie's 2 hours nowadays. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you didn't need 2 hours. You didn't need 2 hours to tell the story. You just decided.
Avengers wanted to do 3, and I literally sat there like, my bladder is not equipped for this.
for this moment.
Is there going to be an intermission?
Oh my gosh. Sophia, it has been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise.
This has been a great episode. I love the conversation that we had. Please tell the people your social media so they can follow you and ask you questions if they have any.
So I am, let me check, because now I'm on social media. On Instagram, I am at Sofía. Wait, hold on. Don't quote me on that.
It's okay. We're also going to drop this in the description and stuff.
Great. Okay, at Sofía_ with an F. Literally with an F, like written out. And then my Twitter is, I believe, just at Sofía Palmero, but let me double check to not give you faulty information. So, at Sofía _Palmero. See?
Okay.
At Sofía
Awesome.
_
Okay.
guys.
Well, Sophia, thank you so much. Eric, do you have anything to add?
No, you're amazing. I miss you. I need to direct you again.
Yeah.
It was such a great experience working with
We need to do
Sofía.
brunch and we need to talk about our ideas.
Oh my God, I would have killed to do brunch. Oh,
Yes.
I miss brunch.
Once social distancing standards are no longer a thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
This is a wrap for this interview.
Yes,
Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you
You're
so
great.
much. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Well, that's our show for today. Thank you guys so much